genius. You see, it's all just theatre.
For so long, Shakespeare's been confined to this like dusty closet of what I would refer to in a negative way as sort of highbrow, you know, and in that sense it becomes, you know, inaccessible. And what Craig and what everyone has worked on this show been able to do is bring it back and make it cool and make it sexy and make it a rock show, which is what it was at the end of the day. I think from the get-go, for me, one of the biggest things that set it apart was the costumes. Obviously, the writing and what Craig has done. Craig is a very emotionally intelligent writer, and he's been able to, with this project, pour a lot of his heart out into it. And there are certain moments towards the latter part of the show, and the last part of the series rather, that Craig came up to me and said, "This is truly how I feel. This is how I feel as a writer." And it's amazing when somebody tells you that, because I connected to it as well. And with that, there has to come a form of respect and an understanding. But like I say, the costumes were a big thing for me. I love fashion and I love all that kind of stuff. And the costumes, you know, it's like that cross between kind of Alexander McQueen meets The Clash, meets the Sex Pistols, meets Vivienne Westwood, you know, early Westwood when it was starting out, when it was on the King's Road, when it was all like, you know, ripped jeans, and punk in modern day has taken a different turn, and that's cool, and I'm all for that. I'm absolutely all for that. But what we see with Shakespeare, and what we've seen with Shakespeare's writing, you know, the reason that it stands the test of time, or has stood the test of time, is the fact that it is true, and it is honest, and it speaks to who we are as human beings, and what it means to be emotional, and have emotion and feeling. I think what our show does is it strips all the BS away from roughs and all that kind of stuff, and really just cuts to the core of what it meant to be super successful, super young. Death was all around these people. You know, you were lucky if you lived past 30. You know, that's something that was a real truthfulness to them, and so life was young and it was fast, and it's so important that we do that and that we show that. I would love to say that it was a straight up offer, but it wasn't. Like most things that happen in this industry, and like most things that particularly happen in London, word gets out and word spreads pretty quickly. I was fortunate enough to have been given most of episode 1 as word was going around. Growing up in England, Shakespeare is a huge part of our history and is a huge part of who we are. So in that, I, knew of Marlowe, knew of his work, knew of, some of the theories that surround him. I had also been in a movie before called Anonymous, which is about the authorship of Shakespeare's work. So, knew a little bit about it, and as I've become older, I find myself more drawn to the darker side of life. And Marlowe definitely offered me that opportunity to do it. So I read and then hung out with Laurie, and away we went. We shot the pilot, and the rest, as they say, is about to be history. To be able to play on that rivalry, as you say, I think Marlowe, when we meet him, has had relative success with Tamburlaine, and this young whippersnapper comes along and he's kind of stepping on his turf, and Marlowe, being the snaky little douchebag that he is, kind of either wants to contain it or manipulate it to his advantage. So in that sense, that was really fun. There's this seductive quality about Marlowe that Craig and Shaker and myself were always very keen to play. There's this unadulterated swagger to him, and basically he's a little shit. And I love that. I love playing that guy. He'll do whatever it takes to get his way. He'll also go as far as he needs to for inspiration. And as the show progresses, you'll see Marlowe go down a rabbit hole.